Welcome back, everybody, to the Making It in Music podcast. I am Heather, as always, your host. Thank you so much for tuning in again this week. Really, really appreciate it. A big shout out to Craig from the Dublin School of Music, who is our sponsor for our podcast. Miss you loads, Craig, and hope you and the family are keeping well. Hope you had a great week. I had a fantastic week because I literally spent the entirety of it listening to The Scratch, their brand new album. Couldn't give a rat's. And if you need something to just really make you feel happy and Irish and awesome this quarantine time, it's this album, okay? The Scratch are a Dublin-based quartet that have managed to combine metal and trad to bring out this wildly unique sound that we haven't heard before. They're bringing a brand new version of traditional music to the scene, and it is spreading like wildfire. After going viral back in June 2017, playing up north at the Rory Gallagher Festival, you guys have taken off and you have played sold out shows in Whelan's, in the Grand Social, in the Button Factory, among not only just here, but internationally as well, over in London, playing so many different festivals. You're bringing the new Irish sound to the world. And I'm very, very, very happy to say that I'm joined today by Daniel Lango of The Scratch. How are you doing?
I am great. How are you getting on?
I am good. I'm very good. I'm delighted to have you on.
Well, that was a very flattering intro, so I appreciate that. Thanks, Neil.
First thing, as I told you before, I like playing games, and because I'm in quarantine and can't play any games with my friends, I force my interviewees to do it. And one thing that I really like to do on Making It in Music is a bit of this or that. It kind of just leads us in. It's a game that I'll give you six artists, six bands, and I'll give you two at a time, and you pick which one comes to your head first. So gut reaction. Okay? So I've done this one based around yourself, The Scratch, and who you are. So first one I have for you is two Irish bands, Horselip or the Dubliners.
I think I'd go with the Dubliners just because I know more of their songs.
Yeah.
But having said that, I've very little knowledge of both acts, regrettably.
You should have a listen to Horselips because a lot of their drum patterns are very quite similar to yourself.
I will indeed. My dad's a big fan of the Horselips, and he went to see them. I think they played the Tree Arena about 5-6 years ago. We went to see them anyway. I know, like on Jarrag,
Yeah.
Doom? Yeah. I know. I mean, who doesn't bleed know that tune? But yeah, outside of that, I don't know what's going on in Horses.
They're coming back as well.
That's good timing. I'll get stuck into their back catalogue and then hopefully be ready in time for their
new
comeback.
Excellent. All right, next one I have for you, okay? And this one are two drummers, okay? So Keith Moon versus Neil Peart.
Neil
Peart?
I mean, Keith Moon seems like a very interesting chap to hang out with. You're going to have an eventful experience if you hang out with him, whereas Neil Peart's a very reclusive, introverted individual. But I think, again, we just know more of Neil Peart's stuff.
Yeah.
I went to see Rush in Tree Arena a couple of years back, and it was amazing. And he's very technically proficient. Not to say that Keith Moon isn't, but I just know that I've just seen more of Neil's work, and I've a lot of respect for both. But if I had to choose one, it would be Neil. Yeah.
I thought you'd be going for Keith Moon on that one, weirdly enough, purely because Keith Moon is the inspiration for Animal from the Muppets.
Yeah.
And just the way that you play.
Yeah. Mihall's a big Keith Moon fan, and it definitely, like, you can they share personality traits for sure.
Yeah.
You're a madman, and Keith was known for that as well.
Yeah.
I think if I knew more of his stuff, if I knew more about him, maybe.
Well, no, this is good. I'm not saying that your thing is wrong. I just like to guess.
Yeah, it's like you're making me want to look into these people.
Good. Okay, last one I have for you. Two metal bands, okay? Metallica versus Sabbath. And I kind of feel like...
Oh, Metallica.
Knew it. Big question I have to ask, all right, about Metallica and yourself as the Scratch, okay? So in Metallica, because of James Hetfield, you have to break that whole thing. Is that something that you really brought from Metallica into the Scratch music?
Probably. I mean, They were an obsession of mine for a good portion of my teens. I think they were the first after listening to, like, my gateway bands were, like, Papa Roach, Limp Bizkit, The Offspring. They were my introduction to rock, like the new metal wave, and then Metallica came along after. And then once that happened, I was like, wait a minute, this is the greatest band on planet Earth. And then they were just all I listened to for a long time. Like, some of their albums didn't leave my Discman for up to a year, at the time.
Yeah.
So it's definitely going to cross over. Not consciously, but Jesus, it is definitely going to have an influence on all of us. We're all massive fans. Like, some of us, I think we were, not that people of our generation don't like Sabbath, but like, Metallica just happened to be the band that I was introduced to in those formative years,
Yeah.
So
it was between Sabbath and Pantera. They're kind of the two. I was like,
Pantera are just, they're on a level, the same level as Metallica. They'd probably take the lead if I had to pick between Metallica or Pantera. Pantera are like, Metallica are amazing. Pantera, I view them as a step up just because they're so tight. Their musicianship is just incredible. Like, particularly Vinnie Paul. Back in those days, they were recording to tape, so there was no edits. Like, so what you were hearing him playing on the drums was what he was playing, and I still blow up listening to those albums, like, at how tight and how much time they took to just get the music right, and the way they changed the world of metal production as we know it,
completely.
And still using those albums as, like, mixing references, which is a lot. Like, Jesus Christ, the early 90s, so
it's a pretty high standard to start it off as.
I love Pantera.
You're a big metal fan. All the lads are big metal fans, and this whole project, the Scratch project, started off as a metal project, Red Enemy.
Yeah, Red Enemy was a band that me and Doc started when we were in second or third year. Like, we used to be called Steel Line, and then that we thankfully got rid of that, and then graduated to Red Enemy. And then that was a band that we were pushing for about 10 years, and it eventually just got to a point where we didn't really feel motivated to do it. It came to a natural halt. And around that time, me and Jordo started trying to learn to sing, and that's when the Scratch was born. And it was a total accident. There was no, like, right, now that we're not arsed with Red Enemy anymore, let's start a new band. It was just like, we just happened to be learning this song that was in a weird tuning. And because the guitar was in that tuning, Jordo was noodling around one day, and I heard a riff he was jamming, and I was like, that sounds class. And then I got the cajon out, which I hadn't ever used really. It was just a Christmas present. And we just started hashing out tunes, and then it just went from there. So
I really want to talk about the whole transition from your kind of heavier sound into the acoustic sound. But when I was reading about the Scratch over the last little while and reading your old interviews, like from the very beginning, one thing that you guys always said was that this started off as a project for fun, and it was only after the viral video hit that it was kind of like, oh, this is something now. Like, Whelan's contacted you didn't need to contact Whelan's. I was watching this brilliant TED Talk the other day with, what's his name, Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Joe, your man from like 500 Days of Summer and the Batman movies and stuff like that.
Okay.
And nerdy looking guy. He's an actor, and he was basically doing this big talk about how attention stifles creativity. And a lot of times with creative people, like when we start to create a project and it's purely based on the love of that feeling that you get when you're in that moment. And psychologists and neuroscientists call it the flow. And it's when you are focusing on one thing, when you focus all your energy on one thing, your hormones start to like level out, and you start, like, you become elated and you get that whole dopamine rush. Do you ever get when you've been sitting down with music for a while, when you move away from it, you're like, oh, that felt really good?
Yeah. Time flies by, all that jazz.
Yeah. But then as we go on, and as we're starting to get praise for these creative projects we're doing, something happens, and we start creating for the attention to creating for that feeling that we get after creating, you know, because the attention lasts longer, you know. Do you think that you were in that position, you were creating and getting attention with Red Enemy, and then you kind of took a step away from that, and did you think having that kind of no attention, that free creative space, allowed you to come up with this unique, the scratch sound, the sound that you've created that is unique to you?
Ultimately, it was just a total accident. It was just, there was no method behind any of this madness. You know, it was literally a case of me and Jordan wanting to use this tune, or wanting to sing this song. So we were both terrified of singing, but we both wanted to sing. So we had this grand plan of like, this genius plan. It's like, right, what if we're both singing at the same time together? Then we can be both shitting our pants at the same time and get over our fear of singing. Like, I'm talking about, like, we were afraid to sing to ourselves, you know? So this was our plan to get over that fear. So we chose this song called Gold. And the version we learned was by Glenn Hansard. I always forget the original composer every time I fucking talk about this. But anyway, the song's called Gold, and the vocals are harmonized throughout the whole tune. So that was it. Like, but the tuning for this particular song was in the tune that we now use in the scratch, and that was it. And then, like, because we've spent so long playing riffs like metal and on electric guitars, I think if you apply, you know, the amount of hours that have gone in for the lads to be able to play riffs, you know, in the metal sense, like if you put an acoustic guitar with a weird tune in their hands, like, something weird is going to happen, you know? And but we didn't know that at the time. Like, I just remember going into the living room one day and I was like, that is deadly, what's that? And he was like, having a breeze. And I was like, right, give us a sec. And then I went and grabbed a cajon, and then we wrote a tune, like, and the tune came out, and then that was it. That's all there was to it.
That natural, you know? Kind of letting yourself do whatever, just sticking with your ear.
Accident. Yeah. And then we just recognized that there was something that excited us anyway. You know, we were like, excited us to the point where we started to, you know, pursue it, you know.
How was that transition of going from being like kind of you using a full kit, like a full metal kit, like cymbals galore, and the lads using their electric guitars, and doing that transition into the acoustic, of you going from sitting in front of a kit to sitting on your kit?
Yeah, I loved it because it meant I just had one thing to carry. Like, for the first time in my life, I was set up before everyone else in the band, and that was something that I'm still getting used to, and I still get a lot of joy from, because I've spent enough time, you know, setting up an outrageous, you know, metal setup with like a billion cymbals and all that crack, and it having to be like set a certain way and really particular. And this is literally a box. But then with that came as challenges. Like, we'd spent so long trying to figure out how to get the sound that we wanted with, you know, amps that we were using, kits that we were using, cymbals I was using. Now we were just in this we were using an entirely different platform in that, like, the lads played acoustic guitars, but they didn't know how to get them sounding good if we wanted to put them through a PA. I thought, you know, naively, that you just stick a microphone in a box and then it's just going to sound like a drum kit, and that's not the case at all, you know. So between ourselves just doing our own individual research and then just taking on our sound engineer, we've got it to a point now where we're relatively satisfied with how it's coming out the front, you know, in a PA, but we're still not there. Like, we're still trying to figure out how to make it sound better, and that's really exciting. Like, we're loving that, you know. It's a challenge, but it's exciting.
What gets me is the size of the sound. Like, it's still such a massive sound for an acoustic band, you know. But you started off in trad, and this is where it gets weird. You started off on the bar round, or to be specific, you started off on a box of peanuts.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, a friend of mine, or not a friend of mine, a cousin of mine, got me a Christmas present, and it was a set of drumsticks and a box of peanuts. Yeah, and I was 4. And then that kind of set the wheels in motion, I guess.
What made them go towards a bodhrán? Like, was Irish music a big thing in your family growing up as well?
No, I just liked the sound of the bodhrán. There was an album that I feel like this album when CDs were a thing, was in every single Irish household, and it was Christy Moore live in the Point.
Yeah.
And my gaff was no different. That album was sitting there, and I loved listening to that album. But there's a song called Well Below the Valley, and it's played on Baron, and I loved. It was the sound of the production on that particular album. Like the Baron just sounds beautiful, and I think looking back, like I was just captivated by the fact that it was just a lad with this really simple drum and his voice, and he was captivating an audience the size of the Point Depot, you know. And he played it really well, and that tune was, I just used to rinse that tune, and I got the idea of playing the Baron in my head, and so I said it to the folks, and they bought me a Baron, and about a year playing that, I finally got the green light to get a drum kit, and then the Baron unfortunately just took a back seat until the last few years when I started trying to pick it up again.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just I loved the sound of the Baron in the Chrissy Moore album, and it was just really as simple as that. It's like, here, right, can I have that if I can't have a drum kit? And they're like, yeah, cool. I'm lucky. Like my parents, you know, they supported me. Like the last thing they wanted was a bleeding drum kit in their house, you know. And like our house, my parents' house is a semi-detached house in a housing estate, like, you know, typical Dublin house setup. So like putting a drum kit in there, like I see why they had their reservations, you know, but they still did it. And I mean, I'm so grateful for that. You know, they supported me regardless of the fact that they were going to have to deal with a bleeding drum kit for, you know, until I move
out. I feel bad for all the neighbours of all the musicians around Dublin, because there's so many of us, and it's just like constant. You can hear, driving up to people's houses, you can tell if they're like players, because you can just hear the music as you travel up the road. You're like, if I hear this now, how does everyone else feel every single day?
Like I remember, like me and Doc, when we started jamming in his parents' attic. I remember, I think it might have been like one of the boys came up to hang out, and he was like, I could hear you from, like, he was describing an estate that was about 1 kilometre away, you know. So, you know, again, his parents were super supportive. They were happy that we were just so into this thing, you know.
Yeah.
And they were willing to listen to us play really bad metal riffs for a good number of years, you know.
Over and over again.
And his neighbours, you know.
Yeah.
And nobody ever said a word.
Well, that's good, because look where you guys are now.
Yeah.
You just do your thing. Yeah. One thing before, because I was talking to you before about your sound and how you came up with the sound. The one thing I want to do before we dive into our music video, talking about your music videos and the new album, is your logo. It caught my eye. I was walking down Cork Street the other day, and I noticed something. That your logo is the welfare logo turned backwards, but a bird shitting in the hand.
Yeah.
So clever. So clever. So just being like, we're Irish, but you have to be Irish to know we're Irish. You know, no one else knows what that symbol is, but like those who are here in this country, you know. What was the idea behind that logo in particular? I saw on an interview you did a while ago that you felt when you guys started off doing music, it was like recession time, you know, and a lot of us were like unemployed, and you guys really spent that time developing your sound, developing your music, you know. And you guys were saying that like you kind of during the recession kind of took the stigmatism of being on the dole, and a lot more people were on the dole. But now you've started this new band, and your little logo is the dole bird. What was the idea behind that?
So we were initially, like when we started the band, it was like jams. Like before we started busking, it was just having jams in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And we were, you know, throwing name ideas around, and Slán Connery was one of the name suggestions, and we went with that and then our mate Lee Brown suggested calling it a particular track that we'd written. He suggested calling it The Scratch, and then we thought to ourselves, actually, The Scratch is a great name for a band. Let's just call the band The Scratch. And then the idea for the logo just came from that, because like the scratch is just, I mean, we were all on welfare at the time, bar Pete's was working, but the rest of us were on welfare, so it was just very fitting. And then I think I had the idea of using the scratch logo, but turning the hand around and having a little poo coming out, and then Doc just drew it up on what you call it, Photoshop, and that was it. We just ran with it. And it's great. Yeah, people still, because a lot of people don't recognize it. I thought a lot more people would recognize it, but obviously I'm going to recognize it since I was on the dole. But, so a lot of people don't recognize it, but when they do, it always gives them a great laugh, and that's always nice.
It's so your whole band is uniquely Irish, and the logo is uniquely Irish, but it really just reigns true to the fact that you guys don't take yourselves too seriously, and that reigns true into your music videos as well. And you said that Doc was the one who did up the logo for you. He's your visuals man, Con Dockery, who's in your band as well. So guys, check out Doc Visuals. Really awesome stuff, not just for the scratch, but across the board, just really cool stuff he's brought out. I want to talk to you about your music videos, because as much we're talking about this in our quarantine, which is out tomorrow, everybody. This lovely man here is going to be on Quarantine FM, my garden gig show, 2:30 to 5. Going to be playing loads of the tunes and having a bit more of an interview, talking about some Irish slang. We were talking about Doc earlier for our other interview. You guys do all this yourself. You edit everything yourself, and we were talking about before about your lyrics are so literal, and it could be very easy for you guys to just go with the literal translation of those meanings. Like it'd be very easy for you just for pull your jocks up, for you to be talking to a friend and giving them that affirmation. Be very easy, like, to go for the direct translation of your lyrics, but you don't. You go for a slight twist on the lyrics, but still running true to the meaning, which is awesome. It's a really unique way to do it. And where I want to ask the question, and it's a bit of a big question, but where does it all start for you when you're planning these videos? Because you have everything from running into like yourself in a forest, running around town, all geese are stealing your face. There's like a bit of every, and then in Cúnla, you having like dressing up as making him into like a fairy princess and doing the choreographed dance routine at the end, like so good. Well, Irish fairy princess, I guess you could say. But yeah, what is your thoughts behind it?
As little thought as possible is generally the approach we take. It depends. Like most of the videos, though, it's like what's the first thing that comes to mind, and like one of our things is obviously like to not take ourselves too seriously, but the other thing is to not overthink. Just to go on the gut as much as possible, and that's just off the back of taking ourselves too seriously and overthinking absolutely everything in our previous bands. So off the back of that, like usually when we're thinking of an idea, either Doc has like a fair idea of what he wants to do, or we'll have a discussion about it, and something generally comes of it, And like with the likes of what was it? What's the bleeding name of the tune?
If you tell me the music video, I'll probably tell you.
We're all running around town.
And you're tossing the hat toss.
Oh, Punisher, that's it.
Oh, I was like literally watched that this morning.
Yeah.
I saw the hat toss in my own mind there for a second.
I bought that hat was like 40 quid, and the lads just absolutely manhandled the thing. So by the end of the video, the thing was in a jock, but fuck it was worth it. But every time I watch the video back, I'm just looking at the moments where it's just, getting more and more mangled every time somebody grabs it off my head, and I can just see them squeezing the life out of it, and a little part of me dies every time I look at it.
Just like every time it's squeezed, it's just like a euro being squeezed out of it. Like
yeah, he just kept grabbing it off me and just going like this, and I was like. But anyway,
that music video though, I want to ask you about that. So in music video, your bodies are slowed down, but your mouths are still singing at the right speed. So I'm guessing what you had to do is you had to record or play the song in double time and then slow it down. Was that really hard to try? Because that song Punisher, there's a lot of lyrics in it anyway. Was it hard trying to like get your mouth around each of those lyrics and make it look like you're actually saying them.
Yeah, and it's so Doc for Punish, he was just like, here, I think all this video needs is us baiting around town, having the crack. We're singing into this camera, and I'm going to shoot it in double speed, so it'll look more epic. And that was it. Like, we decided on a street to start on, I think, when we got into town. We decided, right, we're going to go up Grafton Street. And then we're going to eventually, and then when we were on Grafton Street, it's like, let's go into the park. I think that's like, we were going in real time in terms of like planning where to shoot the video. And yeah, Doc or Jordo, I can't remember who, rigged up a version of the tune that's like in twice speed. And then you just have to literally sing it at twice the speed. And sometimes it lines up, some parts are obviously easier than others, but yeah, it's a challenge. And then on top of that, like, having to do it in a public space where everyone's just looking at you because you're there, like, singing at double speed into a camera. So just letting go of that, and they're a lot of fun. Like, but I think we all enjoy the challenge in that side of things. Just kind of stepping out of your comfort zone.
Yeah,
we're not acting,
Yeah,
but yeah, most of our videos involve us. And
you're a great little actor, though.
Oh, thanks very much. I'm enjoying like giving less of a shit the more I do it. I think that's good for anyone.
Yeah,
put yourself in a situation like that. But
that really shows in Flaker. When you're and that move that you do, the spin and drop down and up again.
Oh yeah.
Like it's like
that was a humbling experience, that video, because I had to interact. Like, it was obviously in public spaces, but I was also trying to interact with people. Yeah. And then going up and handling floors and then doing this little weird spin, yeah, it was gas, but also like, oh, fucking hell. I was so happy with how it turned out, so it was totally worth it. Again, like, just a really, a small little growing experience for myself,
Yeah.
But that's the crack with the videos. It's usually just an on the spot thought, and it'll either get a resounding yes, or we'll just talk it out a little bit more until we come up with an idea. The what you call it video. Jeez, I'm blanking on all of our song names here, but Oh Dog, that's it.
Yeah.
We wanted to get in touch with somebody outside of the band to just see what kind of input they'd have, and we got in touch with a gentleman named Bobby McGlynn. And he does a lot of prosthetics for the likes of like Vikings and stuff like that. And we knew he was there. We knew he liked the band, and we were just interested to see his take on a video if we just gave him a track, And we had an idea for the song, and he came back and he was like, love the song, but the idea, it's like the way he described it, it's like you're trying to put a hat on top of a hat, like you're like the lyrics are self-explanatory, so just trying to play out the lyrics is just a bit dull. So like, just get weird. So he was like, he took on the idea, or he presented the idea of having this old man who's jealous of the lads, and then so what he decides to do is kill the singer and skin him alive, wear his skin to the gig. And like, that was one of 5 suggestions that he was throwing us off the top of his head, and we were immediately like,
yeah,
we never think this is amazing, right? Let's go with this chap, see where he takes us. And so he drafted out a longer treatment, and he came on board and co-directed it with Doc, and it was a class experience. Like, he's such a legend, and his input was great. He just knew when to speak and when not to speak. He just had that really natural, social dynamic that you need in a job like that. I guess it's a reason why he's doing so well, in his craft. But that was the only, outside of that, it's generally just an idea. We'll run with it, see if it works. It generally works out. If not, we'll go back to the drawing board. It's just that's the way we kind of like to work. And then, luckily we have Doc that just can make something of whatever we shoot. It's a lot of it is down to his editing skills, so.
Just 2 more other questions about the music videos before we move on to the amazing new album. First one I have for you is, you were saying there that you've really enjoyed building up your acting skills. You've been building up your dancing skills as well. So it seems like in every music video, you're getting more and more confident with like properly like moving, like the Kunla one. Am I pronouncing that right? Kunla? Yeah.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
You're on the ball.
Okay, awesome. Because I was like looking at it because I'm terrible. I can understand a lot of Irish, but I can't wrap my mouth around it.
10 out of 10 for your pronunciation of.
Thank you. You had a whole like choreograph, the two of you in perfect sync. Like how did you even come up with the whole choreography, or did you get the legs to do it? And like how long did it take you to get that perfectly in sync with each other?
We had the idea for the video was me and Joro came up with it on a bus journey home. It was like, right, one of us dresses up as a Kunla and they're going to turn the other person into a Kunla by means of a ritual. And then we started coming up with ideas for the ritual, like just, whatever, like, I can't even remember what we did. But,
painting nails, trying to put a bra on him, shaving, putting the tights on, then ripping the tights and shaving his legs.
And slapping his knees and stuff like, just like stupid shit. But Jordo and myself then presented the idea to Doc, and he was like, yeah, that sounds bloody great. And then we were like trying to figure out a way to finish the video off, and it was, I think, the dance was the first thing that came to mind, and then we were like, right, let's come up with a synchronized dance, and we just came up with it in the kitchen. We videoed ourselves. I'd love to actually, I think I've the original videos of us trying to come up with that on my phone. I must try and dig that up.
That'd be class.
It was just us trying to figure out little dance moves, and then we practiced it a few times, and then because we rented a space to shoot the video, so we wanted to be as efficient with our time as possible. So we, the night before, we just acted the entire thing out in time with the song, and then included in that was just practicing the dance routine.
Yeah.
By the time we went in to shoot the thing, like, we were a well-oiled machine. We knew exactly what we were going to do, where we were going to be. So we managed to belt it out in a couple of hours. But yeah, it was just us, me and Jordan in the kitchen one night. We were like, here, we need to come up with a dance for this thing.
Yeah.
On it.
Should get that on TikTok. Like, go viral. It could be the next TikTok dance. You never know.
I'm afraid to go near TikTok, because then that'll be yet another social media platform that I can't take my eyes off. So I'm just like, I'm holding off. I feel like I'd love it, So.
That's the thing, like, I'm on it. You would love it. You definitely would. I could imagine you doing the full, like, pop squatting and everything, like. But like my cousins made me get it ages ago, and every once in a while when I go on it, I just, like, I'm 24, and I go on it, and I'm just like, I'm so old. Like, it's all I think about as I go on. It's like, why? And it's not even just the whole fact that, like, a lot of them are like younger than me on it, but it's the fact that I have no idea what they're talking about. Like, none whatsoever. Really? Yeah, it's like diving into meme culture after like 8 years of it being around. Like, it just, there's all these specific dances and specific things they say. And like Visco girls are a thing. I don't even know what the hell is a Visco?
Jesus, I only found out about TikTok. Where are we now? I'd say January, February. I had never heard of it, and then all of a sudden,
it's huge.
It was just everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's, I guess, yeah. But like, yeah, has it been around for long, or when did TikTok come about?
I think so. I think it's been around for the last like maybe 3-4 years. Like, it came out just after, like, it was kind of like the Snapchat and Instagram made a baby. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, is Snapchat like, is that
gone?
Right, or are people still actively using that?
It depends on the country. I don't think it's a huge thing in Europe at the moment, but still quite a big thing in America. There's a lot, like, of the people that I used to follow, of like the influencers that you'd follow on Snapchat, like musicians and stuff. The only ones that are posting anything now on Snapchat are all in America. The rest have all switched over. Instagram and Twitter. We've all grown,
Yeah, I don't know. I had Snapchat for a minute and then got bored of it.
Yeah.
And then
it's just the new thing. It's like trying to keep up constantly with the new thing that comes out.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
Last question I have for you about the music videos is, there's only been 2 music videos really that have been based in one kind of setting. Godslap and Kunla. Godslap was like in the like boxing kind of underground club arm wrestling fight thing, and then cool that was in that school hall. But all your other music videos have brought you to like loads of different locations around Dublin, around Ireland and stuff like that. Was that something that like you and Doc go after? Like, do you intentionally want to show off as many different places as possible that people will recognize?
No, again, it's just like, what's the gut saying?
Yeah.
We tend to listen to that, but like there's certain videos like the road to Ballyshannon.
Yeah.
It was instrumental, and it's named after a particular trip that we made from Galway to Ballyshannon. We took the Wide Atlantic Way. We were busking in Galway, and we were making our way up to the Rory Gallagher Festival, which ended up being the video. That was the year that somebody videoed us, and then that video grew legs. But we were all listening to the gloaming obviously we were all in the same car, but like we were driving to Ballyshannon, and the sun was setting. We were driving the Wild Atlantic Way. It was just a lovely scenic route, listening to the gloaming, and we didn't speak, I'd say, for about half an hour. We were collectively taking in this beautiful moment, and it was just the combination of the music we had on, and then the scenery, and it was just four good mates that were together, and it was just a lovely moment. And I think when we decided to release a video for Ballyshannon, it was like we had to just get that scenery in that inspired the name. So myself, Doc, and Jordo just drove down to Kerry. We started was it Kilkee in Kerry, and which is like it's an area, I think, just south of like Cliffs of Moher and stuff, and it's just got this beautiful coastal.
It's a beautiful video. When I was watching it, because I had your channel on a mix, and when it came on, because it was like very different to the other stuff, I knew I recognized the song, but for a second I thought it was like literally like a Tourism Ireland had put a video to your song.
Yeah, that's generally what people say about it.
Yeah,
which is class. Like it's again, it was Doc's natural eye for that kind of thing. I think it was his idea, and I was like, yeah, let's do it. I was the only one with a car at the time, so I drive down, and we spent 2 days driving up the west coast of Ireland, shooting or just capturing, scenes of the Wild Atlantic Way.
Yeah.
And then Doc pieced it together, and that was the only time I think we consciously decided to get Ireland's scenery into a video, because that's what I guess inspired the name of the tune in the first place. Everything else is just happens to be the location that we get a good feeling from, like with what you call it. I'm having a terrible time remembering any of these songs. Anyway, there's one tune we were in the Phoenix Park.
Flaker.
Laker, yeah. And then is in town, and I don't know. It's not. I don't think it's like we need to capture Dublin here.
Yeah.
I think when we get onto I think when we run with an idea, Doc has an idea of where he wants to shoot it. Maybe he is thinking about that. I'm not. That would be a question for Doc then. Yeah.
Yeah, you're thinking about how many people you're gonna have to embarrass yourself in front of. How much dancing do I have to do this time?
Yeah. That's right.
But the new album, Couldn't Give a Rat's, that came out 27th of March. And I've gotten so many hits so far. So many people have been writing about it. And it's basically, like the way I described it was basically a full spectrum of Irish life. Because you have a song there that is like, as we talked about before, like the self-affirmation song, let's pull your jocks up. And then you have a song that also, the God slap, that also, it's kind of like, you're doing really great, but just calm yourself down. You're not that great. And then you have like the song about the session, and the song about like an Irish granny, It's a really awesome album. How long has this been in the making for you guys?
We decided to record an album, book time to record an album early last year. Like we just finished recording our second EP, The Whole Buzz.
Yeah.
And we managed to lash that together fairly quickly. So we were like, here, let's just book some studio time in October, and we'll just assume that we're going to have an album ready by then. And then that was it. Like between you know, I think we decided to book the time like in about March or April, and then I'd say we messed around with like compositions and whatnot, you know, off the back of that for a couple of weeks, and then that just fizzled out because we were just, you know, playing loads of gigs and, you know, living our separate lives, and
Yeah.
and then came, you know, when the hours were counting down, we were, you know, faced with the fact that we needed to have an album ready, you know, and then we were like, fuck, right, let's start putting everything together. So it just, I'd say, I don't know, in the weeks leading up, we wrangled all the ideas that we had on, you know, our phone, or, you know,
Yeah.
those shitty phone recordings that you make, you know, in jams or whatever, and we started trying to put tunes together. And then I'd say about 5 or 6 of the tunes that are on the album were, you know, half-baked ideas, even in the studio. So we were forced to think on our feet and hash out the rest of the tune, you know. So it was yeah, we didn't, that was it. That's how it kind of came about. It wasn't all fully formed and ready to go when we went into the studio. It was like a collection of ideas that we'd managed to piece together in the weeks leading up to the recording of the album. And then when we were in there, we were like, well, fuck, 4 of these tunes are just not finished, so let's figure something out and hope for the best. And
okay, it came together pretty bloody well, like.
Yeah, we're delighted with it.
Very well.
Yeah, but that's genuinely how it came about. I think it's, you know, in the moment in the studio, I myself like to have things ready to go, you know, or fully formed. So the songs that we didn't have fully formed, in the moment I was getting frustrated. Like I was like, why didn't we sort this out? But in hindsight, you know, it was great as well. I mean, it pushed us, and you know, the results that came of it could only have happened in the studio under that kind of pressure, you know. So it was.
And the lyrics that you have there are just like it's not the Irish language, but it's Irish language, you know. It's the way that the Irish speak English, and that's they're all personal lyrics, and these are just like things that like flow out of you. There was something that was said about yourself. Who was it again? Jordan said about you, was after the first EP, was that they have confidence in your ideas, that you just go mad and you are okay, you throw in the maddest jokes and they're all like very happy to go with that. But so you and Jordan are kind of both the most like lyrical writers. How do you decide who sings what? Like, is it a thing of who writes what, or is it who sings what better?
It's who sings what better. What voice sounds more suited to the idea we're trying to get across. So I wrote all the lyrics to Punisher, but we felt that his voice sounded better over the verses. We were just like, it's a Jordo verse, you know. And I've written a couple of tunes, you know, but he ends up, you know, singing either the chorus or the verses. Like I think everything that he's written lyrically, he's sang. Oh no, yes, everything that he's written, he's sang. But it always comes down to, but it's not. It's just, again, like what he wrote. It made sense for him to sing it. So our main objective is to serve the song, you know. Put our egos to one side.
Was the whole thing about writing the album, I noticed that the first song is kind of a song of affirmation, and the last song is almost a song of affirmation as well, of being like, it's going to be okay. Like, it's what's the line? Yep, you goofed it. It's grand. You're going to go for it again. You don't know what's best for you, and you still have a pile of turd that won't stick. Great line. Did you, when you were putting this album together and like laying out the tunes, did you do that purposely, of having kind of that lifting album, that song of like the self-affirmation song at the end, at the start, and then also at the end to be kind of like, you have the happy song at the start, you go through your Irish life, that song right in the middle, God slap right in the middle, which brings you back down again, and then by the end it's like, Joe, what, you might screw things up, but it's all right, just keep going.
There was no again, it was what felt right when we heard all the tunes back after recording it. Like, our primary concern was getting the tunes finished. Going into recording the album, but I think I remember Doc hearing it. He was like, "That should be the outro track," and nobody protested that. You know, we were all like, yeah, I think you're right. It's got this big epic outro with, you know, maybe Leah playing fiddle over it. It just makes sense. And then the lyrics do tie in with it. You know, it's just a nice way to end the album. But that was as far as that went, you know, in terms of like, I did certainly that's the first time it's ever been mentioned actually. Like, it's like, oh, there's this like nice affirmation at the start and it's all lovely and pleasant, and then there's a bit of a deeper one at the end, but it takes you back out. No, that was just a total accident.
That's the thing. I go so deep into tracks and stuff like that. I tend to find things that did never came to the actual writer's head and they're writing them, because it was always such a natural process for them that it's almost like a subconscious thing. It's in the back of your head that takes a third party to be like, hey, you did that way, and that's really cool.
I love that that's how you interpreted it, because I never thought of it that way, but it's a nice way to look at it. Maybe I should say yes.
Yes, it was my idea.
That's what happened.
What out of all the tracks in the album, what's your favorite song on the album, or like your top 3 songs on the album?
I love Excuse. I love Jordo's tunes. The ones that Jordo brought into the mix. I found myself listening to those when we were getting drafts of the album back, even the demos. I remember, like, because last year I was away touring with another band a lot, so like I'd be getting WhatsApp posts of, you know, Jordo or whatever, you know, posting ideas he had, and I remember rinsing Session Song when I first heard it. Like, it was lyrically all there, but the end of it hadn't been finished, and I remember just rinsing that and then thinking like, oh, we could take it here or whatever. And then when I heard the finished version of that, I really sank my teeth into that tune. That one, Excuse, and Shanachie. I love Pull Your Jocks Up as well, because it just means a lot to me. Yeah. You know. But if I had to pick 3, it would be Shanachie, Excuse, and Session Song.
They're great songs. I really like at the end of a lot of your songs how you have like kind of the speaking in it. Like at the end of Session Song, it's almost like you're in that live setting again, which is great. It's almost involving. That's such a big part of who you are as the Scratch, is your live gigs are so inclusive. You know, when you like, what was it 909 said, it's like, I dare you to go to a Scratch gig and not leave with a smile on your face, because it's a community feel when you go into it, and having those little bits on the album really kind of bring the listener in again, of like that they're in the room with you, which is really cool. And a way that not a lot of people have done it before. There's been a lot of like you hear like the crackling of a vinyl, or like the tuning up of a guitar at the beginning of the song, and it's like trying to bring people in, but you've changed it and you've put it at the end to be kind of like, you've just heard the song, but you're still in the room with us. We haven't moved on yet. You're still here with us.
That's great to hear. That's really nice to hear.
Very cool. This is just me complimenting you for 40 minutes. I hope you don't mind. Last kind of question I have for you is all your dates have been re-announced. It's going to be a big Scratch Christmas around Ireland.
Yeah, we're going off what the government are telling us, you know, and we're trying to, I guess, make, you know, the most sensible predictions we can given the information we're given. So like right now, I mean, shows were initially rescheduled to June, which is obviously absurd to think about now. And then it was back to September, and now it's Christmas. And even now we're like, I don't even know this is going to be a thing. But like, you know, all we can do is act on the info we've been given and hope. Yeah, like, Jesus. And if it works out that we can play the planned tour that we had around Ireland in December, that would just be a lovely way to round off the year. I'd love that. So, and
there's still tickets available.
I believe so. Some of the shows, like the Academies is sold out, and I think there's tickets available for the other shows. Like we're playing Mike the Pies, we're playing Dolan's Warehouse in Limerick, and Cyprus in Cork, and then the Roisin in Galway, and then I think it's the Limelight in Belfast, and I'm fairly certain there's still tickets for that.
Excellent. And if you were to find them, go on the Scratch Music website.
I think they're also available on Ticketmaster, but sure, look, have an old gang. I'd say just Google it. and Google will show you the way.
And lads, if you're looking for an album, an actual physical copy of this album, it is class. It's a tricolor album, which is really cool. And hopefully Bandcamp do it again, but Bandcamp are doing this really awesome thing where they're letting basically the artist take all of the income from what they're getting. So they did that last Friday, and they also did it like 2 weeks ago, like Friday 2 weeks ago as well, or something like that. And hopefully they'll do it again. So do keep an eye out on on the Scratches socials, on Scratches Facebook, Instagram, and your other favorite artists' social medias. Check when these things are going to happen. When is the best time for you to buy the album? So all the money goes towards your artist, the person that you want to support, and not the thing that it's being sold on. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast, and everyone make sure you tune in tomorrow 2:30 to 5 on Quarantine FM, where Daniel is going to join me on my garden gig show. We're going to be playing a load of the tunes from the new album. I have one last little game for you if you'd like to play.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it.
Excellent. Okay. Desert Island Discs. You are about to be taken away to an island, and you've to spend the rest of quarantine there, you wish, by yourself. You have 5 albums you can bring with you. Irish or not, what would you bring?
Oh, I think the best thing to do here is not think. Right.
Yeah,
so
don't.
I'm gonna go Polynation. I think I think the album's called Igneous. Polynation. I'll go with that. I'll go with Slipknot, Iowa. That's 2. What is tough, man? Okay. Chim Spanner, All Roads Lead here. I'm not going to be able to listen to that all the time now. I need something mellow. What's going to be mellow? What would I love to listen to?
Christy Moore, Live at the Point.
Are you good at thinking on your feet? Like in times like at times like these, like this is me at my worst.
Yeah, no, I'm dreadful at this. And the thing is, you come up with 5, and about 5 seconds later, you come up with another 5, and 5 seconds later, you come up with another 5. So
yeah,
I normally go by mood of like an album that would reflect each mood.
I did 3 there. Okay, I need something mellow though. I can't be listening to. I mean, Polynation's quite mellow. Slipknot obviously is not. It's pretty. So I need something mellow. You know what? I'm gonna go with the Gold and Silver Sessions by Elder. That would take me down a nice.
That's a really nice album.
And then that leaves me with 1, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Jesus, that leaves me with 1 album. Okay, I am going to go with Jordan Racoy, Wallflower. You
did not bring any Metallica with you.
I know, yeah. Well, you know what? I've listened to some with Metallica that I think...
You could just play it in your head.
Yeah, I could live without listening to Metallica for the rest of my life. I might eat those words, but I think right now, yeah, I spent my teens engrossed in Metallica and Pantera. So yeah, I think if I had to pick 5 right now, they're the 5 I'm going with.
They're the 5. Excellent choice. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Everyone, make sure you check out the Scratch officials, all their Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, their website. Check out their Bandcamp, buy their album. This is a fantastic band that are bringing trad to a whole other level, that are going to bring a new style of Ireland to the world. That it's no longer the diddly idly stuff that we're used to. It's Irish, but with a gut, Irish with a punch, and I love it, and you guys should too. Thank you so much, Daniel, for coming on the podcast. You've been awesome. I hope you guys have a fantastic week, and yeah, just remember, you are your own secret weapon. Thank you very much. Bye.